All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is the first of the month. I actually cannot believe it that it is already May. You know what I'm saying? That is actually a very, very wild concept. Welcome to 2025, but it is already starting in dramatic fashion. So yesterday, you had the earnings, Meta, Microsoft. People were feeling good about it. You heard a little bit about China and other things. There's even some China rumors that are going around today. We talked about it. I already sent out a stream alert. We're going to talk about it even more, but fact of the matter is, people are feeling good. We talked on the watch list last night about some of the fallacies. I do not think that we are out of the woods just yet. However, people are feeling good, and then we have the jobs tomorrow, and that's going to be a tricky one. So if you were there on the watch list last night, really what we got to find here today from a trading perspective, we want to see if today is going to be the big day or is that going to be on Friday, and then hopefully we could dodge some bullets. But Chatadonia, we're going to have a lot of activity. It should be a lot of fun. Shout out to the long term. And welcome to May. You are almost halfway done with the year, bro. Good morning. That's insanity. What up, PNC? Lucky Soldier, Devin, Super Takeoff, Tim Whitman, Chris, baby, Laker, Jay. Good morning. What up, Dystopian? What up, CoinFox, Christina, Ion, CG, Humble Business, Jerry Woods, baby, Amon, Mark J, IPOC, Smoking J, Stuffing Things. What's up, baby? Good morning, Alyssa. Good morning, Cody. Good morning, Gus Gonzo. The Bag Brigade. What up, baby? Arnaldo, Jennifer, Moon, Toya, Wise, Rusty, Schofield, Mr. Garcia. Let's go. Skateboard. What's going on, baby? How you doing, Aztec? Oh, man. What about that Twitch? Lizzie, Louise, Stock Sasquatch, Payday Devo, Slizzin, Woodrow, Feed Me Seymour. What up, hubby? Blazing Bob, Epic Eric, Blowing Dope, Pie Guy, and Robo Hand Tech, baby. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so happy Friday, Junior. It's gonna be interesting, man. We've been having too much fun, and I feel old. It's already, we're almost halfway done with the year. I was just president. Here's Josh AI. Fucking. U.S. stocks set to rally
so quiet.
On tech. Trade optimism.
Yeah, there you go.
U.S. equity futures rallied Thursday on stronger than expected tech earnings and relief over signs the Trump administration is stepping back from its harshest tariff threats. Contracts for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 both gained at least 1% as Microsoft Corp and Meta Platforms Inc. jumped in early trading on upbeat results. General Motors Company cut its full-year profit outlook, citing exposure to auto tariffs, among the biggest financial hits revealed by any company so far to the trade tumult. McDonald's Corp shares fell 1% in pre-market trading after the burger chain's first quarter sales missed estimates. Analysts will be watching Apple Inc. results due after the market closed closely for any further detail on how the company, whose supply chain is reliant on China, Vietnam, and India, views the impact of tariffs. By and large, tech giants have delivered on the upside, adding to optimism that trade deals will offer many countries a reprieve from the highest tariffs. First unveiled April 2nd, Wall Street ended a chaotic month on a day in which the S&P 500 erased an intraday drop of more than 2% to close 0.2% higher. Traders sought reassurance in bets on Federal Reserve easing after the U.S. economy contracted for the first time since 2022. And so far, we're seeing big tech companies deliver on earnings, which is reassuring, and it's this reassurance which is supporting equity market futures, said Georgios Leontaris, Chief Investment Officer for EMEA at HSBC Global Private Banking. The other element of the story beyond earnings is obviously the ongoing debate as to whether we've seen peak tariff noise or not. So, the White House said it was nearing an announcement of a first tranche of trade deals with partners that would reduce planned tariffs. Sentiment was also helped by a report that the U.S. has been proactively reaching out to China through various channels. At the same time, U.S. President Donald Trump remained defiant, saying, Wednesday he would not rush deals to appease nervous investors and that market volatility has nothing to do with tariffs. Most markets in Europe and many in Asia are shut for holidays, and an index of the dollar rose while treasuries edged lower across the curve. The yen fell after the Bank of Japan left its benchmark rate unchanged at 0.5%, while pushing back the timing for when it expects to reach its inflation target and reducing its growth forecast. In commodities, oil slipped following the biggest monthly drop since 2021 as signs that the Saudi-led OPEC Plus alliance may be entering a prolonged period of higher output added to concerns the trade war will hurt demand. Gold fell for a third day on signs of potential trade talk progress between the U.S. and several other nations, quelling demand for havens even as signs of slowdowns have emerged in the largest economies. The U.S. and Ukraine reached a deal over access to the country's natural resources, offering a measure of assurance to officials in Kyiv who had feared Trump would pull back his support in peace talks with Russia. Corporate highlights: General Motors Company cut its full-year profit outlook, citing as much as $5 billion of exposure to auto tariffs. Harley-Davidson Inc. withdrew its 2025 outlook, citing a lack of clarity around U.S. trade policy and weakening economic conditions. It had previously forecast revenue that would be flat or down 5% this year and a 7% to 8% operating income margin. McDonald's Corp sales fell in the first quarter, reflecting a deterioration in consumer sentiment that's making it harder for restaurants to lure in diners. Robinhood Markets Inc.'s earnings largely beat expectations as the trading platform operator drew investors in volatile tariff-driven markets. Tandem moves: global trade worries are spurring lockstep moves in U.S. equities, a headache for stock pickers trying to beat an already unpredictable market. Nearly 3 weeks into earnings season, a gauge of realized correlations between stocks in the S&P 500 index stood at 0.6 as of April 30th, more than twice its average at this point in quarterly reporting periods going back to 2011. Data compiled by Bloomberg show a correlation of 1 implies 2 assets are moving perfectly in tandem. Earnings season is a time when stocks are more likely to go their own way as investors react to disparate results in company outlooks, but worries over the looming effects of tariffs, which can hit companies' bottom lines in addition to the global economy, have dampened those individual moves. That creates a problem for active fund managers who try to beat the market by finding companies trading at discounts to their peers. Nearly 38% of large cap stock managers are outperforming their benchmarks in the month through April 28th compared to 54% over the first 3 months of the year. Morningstar direct data showed Trump says tariffs politically risky, but he's not rushing deals. President Donald Trump acknowledged that his sweeping tariff program had risked imperiling him politically, but said he would not rush deals to appease nervous investors during a town hall on Wednesday. Yeah, Trump said when asked by News Nation host Bill O'Reilly if he agreed that his tariff proposals had a perception problem, but I'm an honest guy and we have to save the country. And Trump went on to agree there was a significant political risk to his efforts and that they could result in Republicans losing control of the House of Representatives in the midterm elections if those perceptions don't change, but said he remained determined to push on. I just think that I'll be able to convince people how good this is, Trump said. Bank of Japan pushes back inflation target due to trade war. The Bank of Japan pushed back the timing for when it expects to reach its inflation target and slashed its growth forecasts as the global trade war initiated by U.S. President Donald Trump darkens the economic outlook. Governor Kazuo Ueda's board voted unanimously to maintain the central bank's policy rate at 0.5% at the end of the two-day gathering, according to a statement as expected by all 54 economists surveyed by Bloomberg. The forecast changes triggered a drop in the yen and 10-year yields as traders pushed back rate hike views Top overnight news, tariffs slash trade high. Say Chinese state media says Trump seeks tariff talks, BBG. Beijing signals openness to it, FT, but not backing down, Axios. USTR Greer says U.S. trade deals could be reached in weeks, though says no China talks happening, Reuters, SCMP. Sources say China will wait to see Trump's advisor influence before engaging in trade talks, SCMP. Trump says he has potential deals with India, South Korea, Japan, calls China the chief ripper offer on trade, Reuters, CNBC. Trump's decision to pause reciprocal tariffs for 90 days has given businesses a new deadline to beat, distorting global trade, WebSJ. De minimis ending causes e-commerce sellers to consider their survival as they restructure supply chains models. WSJ. Almost half of U.S. toy makers say Trump's 145% tariffs on goods imported from China will put them out of business. BBG. Trump warns of a tariff wall for pharmaceutical companies after a set time. Reuters. EU to present new trade proposals to U.S. negotiators that will propose lowering trade and non-tariff barriers. BBG. Politico. Corporate. Meta exceeds revenue estimates and raises CapEx guidance as advertising, AI spending defy tariff concerns. BBG FT. Meta to face U.S. authors in court over AI training and copyright issues in first big test for tech giants. FT. Microsoft forecasts strong growth for Azure. BBG. Tesla board reportedly seeking a successor for Elon Musk. WSJ. Tesla denies the report. Axios, CNBC, Reuters. Josh skimmed that shit live in a minute and told you they was some hoes from a mile away. Josh isn't smart. They are just shady. Qualcomm Q3 revenue forecast falls short of estimates. BBG. NVIDIA CEO urges Trump admin to change rules for AI chip exports. BBG says all U.S. companies will need AI factories. WSJ. Judge rebukes Apple and orders it to remove hefty fee on off-app purchases. NY Times. Axios. Amazon plans to invest $4 billion to expand its delivery network in small rural U.S. towns. Reuters. That's OpenAI raised concerns about a California bill that could affect its restructuring, questioning ties to Elon Musk. Politico. A Sam Altman-backed world bringing its technology to the U.S. Axios. BBG. Starbucks looking to reduce its store remodel costs and exploring new strategy to refresh stores for less. BBG FT. Google is integrating ads into chatbot conversations to maintain its digital advertising edge. BBG. eBay reported higher profits and revenue, but provided lackluster guidance. WSJ. Paramount ready to settle $20 billion Trump lawsuit against CBS News. WSJ. FT. Robinhood saw increased revenue as retail investors flocked amid Trump's tariffs, despite slowing crypto growth. Reuters. Couche-Tard signed a non-disclosure agreement with Japan's Seven & I for a $47 billion acquisition. BBG FT. Trump in cabinet meeting says he heard Samsung will build massive production facilities in U.S. Yonhap. Central banks. Fed expected to keep rates steady despite market bets on looming cuts. Reuters. Musk says Doge should investigate Fed costs, citing examples of potential government waste. BBG. BOJ keeps interest rates steady, cuts growth and price forecasts on tariff worries. Link. New York Times. BBG. Economy. Weak U.S. GDP report underscores how much Trump has at risk as he pursues an aggressive trade war. NY Times. Friday's U.S. jobs report will provide the first hard data since 2 APR Liberation Day announcement. WSJ. China's trade decline leads to job cuts and struggling businesses. WSJ. Japan's factory activity shrank for the 10th month due to weak demand and tariff worries. Reuters. South Korea export growth stalls on calendar-adjusted basis. BBG. Southeast Asia drove tariff-induced front-loading of exports. Nikkei. Markets. Global trade worries causing U.S. equities to move in tandem, making it difficult for stock pickers to beat the market. BBG. Investors expect little clarity in May. Pain trade still seen higher. BBG, New York Times. Washington. Senate fails to reject Trump's tariffs, with Republicans largely supporting him. Axios, Politico, BBG. Trump skeptical of Republican plans to cut Medicaid, which could dramatically affect millions of GOP voters. Politico, Reuters. Speaker Johnson staring down a growing rebellion from his centrist wing over cuts to Medicaid in GOP's bill. Axios. House Republicans from high-tax states at odds with House leaders over the $10K cap on salt deduction. BBG. Musk says Doge not as successful as he hoped, but may stay through entire 4 years of Trump 2.0. Axios say Trump administration invests $500 million in universal vaccine project led by NIH appointees Mamoli and Taubenberger. Reuters. Geopolitics. U.S. and Ukraine reach deal granting U.S. privileged access to new projects to develop Ukraine's natural resources. BBG. Senator Lindsey Graham plans new sanctions on Russia and tariffs on countries buying Russian energy. WSJ. EU preparing a plan B to maintain economic pressure on Russia should U.S. step away from Ukraine diplomacy. FT. U.S. urges calm as Pakistan and India hint at imminent military action over Kashmir. RFT. BBG. Washington Post. U.S. imposes further sanctions on Iranian oil trading entities ahead of a new round of nuclear talks. Reuters. U.S. launching its largest overhaul since the Cold War, focusing on drones and modernizing equipment. WSJ. UK is discussing recognizing a Palestinian state with France and Saudi Arabia ahead of a UN conference. FT. South Korea's acting president steps down to pave way for his expected presidential candidacy announcement. FT. FT. We have more. Well, that was it. Not too bad. I'm surprised futures didn't move. They should have moved a lot more. They usually do by the AM. So get ready. We have a little bit more. S&P futures, they're up by 1.1 Thursday morning, a bit off of best pre-market levels. Comes after U.S. equities finished mixed, but well off of their worst levels on Wednesday. S&P ended 2.5% off of its morning lows to finish higher for the 7th consecutive session. Treasuries firmer with the curve flattening. Dollar index is up by 0.5 with yen weakness, the big story. In Bank of Japan growth downgrades. Gold down by 2.7, Bitcoin up by 2.7, WTI down by 1.9, and falling nearly 4% yesterday on report Saudis are willing to live with lower prices. Big tech earnings, the big tailwind today with renewed support from AI secular growth narrative. Results from Microsoft and Meta have further juiced the key one earnings metrics for the S&P, with the blended growth rate now at 11.9 versus 7.2 at the end of the quarter, while tariff mitigation has also helped put a positive spin around the broader Q1 earnings season. Pretty quiet elsewhere with the trade headlines seemingly more noisy at this point. However, select de-escalation dynamics, a key driver of the recent 7-day winning streak. Also support from talk of retail buying and leveraging on the part of the systematic strategies. When it comes to fiscal policy, reports continue to highlight the complications of facing the GOP reconciliation bill. Nothing on the Fed front for next week's meeting. Oil weakness expected to get more attention as inflation cushion. Weekly initial jobless claims jumps to 241 versus 225, highest level since October. Continuing claims printed at 1.9 million, well above the forecast and highest in nearly 4 years. Final S&P global manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing and construction spending coming later this morning. When it comes to ISM, Street looking for headline reading to slip to 48 in April from 49 in March. March survey saw respondent feedback once again focused on concerns surrounding tariffs. April employment report caps off the week on Friday. Street is looking for 130,000. Vote. And Microsoft Azure growth accelerated to 35%. Meta beat and talked up AI roadmap and raised CapEx. Tesla denied report that the board is looking to replace Musk. Eli Lilly highlighted solid Monjaro Zepbound results, but trimmed full-year EPS guide. MA noted higher volumes and raised full-year revenue growth. McDonald's revenue and COPS were weaker amid lower guest count. Qualcomm slight beat and raised to underwhelm. Clack beat, guided down and said no change in demand. CVS beat and raised, highlighting notable strength in benefits. CP lowered full-year EPS growth guidance. Weak Asian results on drag APD, which cut guidance. HWM earnings beat with engine margins a bright spot. Car beat and raised in America's residential commercial strength. GM trim guidance on expected tariff impact. Wow. Not bad. We have good time, actually. We're a little bit. We can't get too comfortable. But yeah, we got it. We got a little bit there, so not bad. Again, I do want to just see whether or not we actually just get a big day or not, or whether or not it fades. We're gonna find out. But as far as pre-market movers, Align is up by 9.6 off earnings. CVS is up by 9 off earnings. Microsoft 8.9. A lot of sympathies with the CapEx guide. That's why we were talking about it yesterday. That was very important because they're spending money still, both Microsoft and Meta. AUR is up by 7.9, begins commercial driverless trucking in Texas. Roblo up 6.7 off earnings. Amazon up 3.9 to invest $4 billion in small towns to expand delivery network. NVO is up by 3.5. Partnership with CVS to increase access to Wegovy. ServiceNow up 2.8, Truist upgrade, WDC 2.8, JP Morgan upgrade, RVTY 2.6, UBS upgrade, IDXX 2.2 earnings, KKR 1.9 off earnings, CWH up 6, JP Morgan upgrade, OLO up 5.5, reportedly exploring sale after tracking takeover interest. ETWO 24, WiseTech confirms evaluating potential acquisition of E2 Open. TRVG up 4.5, B. Riley upgrade. Bitcoin trading higher, trading lower. PPC down 6 off earnings. Qualcomm down 5 off earnings. Eli Lilly down 4 off earnings. Ooh, excuse me, am I in the right one? Yeah. Apple down 1.3, federal judge rule in court order requiring greater competition for app downloads. OGN down 14 off earnings. JNVR down by 7.7, 24 million private placement. And gold and silver trading lower. Wow. So, Chattadonia, I hope you guys are feeling good. I hope you are ready, but that is all that we have. So I do have a couple of plays we'll go over. Is Caroline live again? Well, get ready. So I did stream alert it at like 5 something in the morning. Kevin Hassett, White House, he went on and he was talking about hopeful for a China deal and how they're kind of close to it, okay? That was on CNBC, and that was early in the morning. So yesterday's rumor with China, it was kind of a rumor. We didn't really hear much, again, playing the carousel game, but pretty much I'm suspecting that Kevin Hassett stuff, I think is going to come back around one time today at minimum, and we're going to get some reaction. But generally, that's not the most important one. I want to see whether or not Thursday packs a punch, or that means tomorrow's going to do it. But then if we do make a big move today, that might be everything. And then Friday with the jobs data, all the preliminary jobs data so far is saying that you should pay attention. So we will see where it leads. But beyond that, you know what you should really pay attention to? All of the freedom you have. And pay attention to the fact that every day you live this life, enjoy everything in this country, and you did nothing for it. Wow. That's why they ask me why I support the veterans so much. That's one of the many reasons, man. I am very, very well aware of all of the benefits that we have, and there was many men and women that came before us, put everything on the line for it, sacrificed their lives, time with their family, even came home, and we treated them like shit. And so, for real, guys, I really hope that we could bring this all throughout, man, day in and day out. And at the very least, man, I'm truly honored to be around some of y'all who have served, and I am just at the very least grateful, and I hope that you bring this to real life. So veterans, active service, past service, anybody who has served this country, God bless all of you and thank you. Thank you for your service and commitment to this country. And if anybody should be getting that crib, the long term, all of it, let us help, baby. God bless you all. And big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities. All the doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men. Anybody making their community run. God bless you and thank you, baby. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Oh. Son of the Jets! Oh, it's game time, baby. Hola. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready, Chad? Oh, yeah. So that's it. We got good time. We could go over the place when we switch over. So I hope you're ready. Be on the lookout for the Hassett rumor. Otherwise, a good post earnings, first of the month. Let's see where it is. And please follow the rules, you guys. So if you're here on members only now, before we go into Gen Pop, the chat is always members only, but follow the rules. And if you have been here for a long time, I expect more from you. Okay? And do not turn our chat room into a marketplace. That's like a Bible verse, I think. Or tables will get flipped. So get a long term, save your money, help each other out. Don't flex if you're not posting the plays. And let's have a good end to the week, baby. That's all it is. So I will see you there, baby. God bless you. I will see you in Gen Pop. And let's make it a good one, bro. Let's make it a good one. So, all right, man. I will see you there. And God bless America, baby. Shout out to the vets and thank y'all. Peace.